So, hello, welcome Naomi to the show. Welcome to the podcast. Lovely to have you. So, if you
Great to be here.
yeah, say hello to the listeners and let us know a little bit more about you.
Sure. So my name is Naomi Nye. I'm a mindset and trauma coach that specializes and works with teens. And my company is Teen Rockstar Entrepreneur. And the reason why I decided to work with youth is because of my personal story. I had so many setbacks in my life. And
Mm.
when I got to the point that I had a breakdown, I realized, wow, like, how did I get here? And when
Yeah.
I started doing my research and studying and trying to put the pieces back together of my life, I realized, these skills that I'm learning now in my 40s, this is not a luxury. This should be something that should be taught in our schools, and we all should have access to this. How great it would be for all of us if we all got these teens, these skills early in life, these tools that we could be able to use to face the challenges that we all face in our life. How much better it would go for all of us, and how much better would the world would be,
Yeah,
right? If we all learned these skills. And so that's why I started my mission, and that's why I do what I do today.
that is amazing. And I'm right there with you because I think the same way. When I think back to when I was young, all the things I didn't know that I wish there was somebody who, obviously, our parents, they did the best they knew how to do at the time. But I really wish there were
Yeah.
some things that somebody who would have sat me down and said, hey, listen, this is how the world works. This is what you should do, shouldn't do. It would have helped so much, all these life lessons. And I think the earlier we can teach this to our young people, the better, I think.
And so that's
Mm.
why it's so important to teach young adults these skills of how to regulate themselves and how to be able to deal with the challenges, because in essence, that's what life is all about. Because
It is.
if you think about it, when we're good, we're good. When we're happy, there's no problem. So when
Everything's
we're
fine.
happy, we're not looking to escape, we're not looking to fix anything, we're not looking to run away because it's all good. But
Hmm.
life is not that. Life
No,
is really overcoming challenges, overcoming
absolutely.
challenges
Hmm.
because that's what life throws at us. And if the younger we start learning how to deal and handle these challenges and learn the skills to be able to successfully overcome the problems that we can't avoid,
Yeah.
because we're going to have some problems, we're going to have disappointments, we're going to
Yeah.
have breakups,
Hmm.
we're going to have failed businesses, we're going to fail college entrance tests, we're going to fail.
Yeah.
But how we handle it, that makes all
Hmm.
the difference in the world.
It really
It
does.
makes all the
And that kind of writes your life, really. That ability to bounce back from setbacks is the only way that you can grow, that you can succeed in anything. I think like the main things that every teenager, regardless of where you are in the world, regardless of your socio-economic background, what are some of those things that we all struggled with as a young child that teenagers are struggling with now? Because I think a big one is mental health.
well,
That would be one of the biggest ones, wouldn't it?
mental health. Well, well, mental health is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Teens right now are suffering with anxiety, stress, and a little bit of hopelessness because of the
Mm-hmm.
economic system. But that is what they're feeling. And the anxiety and the stress comes from not being able to control many things in their lives.
Yeah.
We're social creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So belonging is one of our six basic human needs.
Oh
We all
yes,
need
yeah.
to feel accepted. We all need to be a part of the group. We all
Mm-hmm.
need to have a tribe, right? That we feel a part of. So acceptance is super important. So here we are as young adults trying to be accepted, right? And and a natural part of life is that we compare ourselves to others. We are
Mm.
comparison creatures, just like we are social creatures. Because if and this is a good thing. We look at it as
Mm-hmm.
bad, but it's a good thing. Why do we compare? Because if we don't compare, how do we know our growth? So if
Mm-hmm.
you're playing basketball and you don't see that your friend is, throwing hoops all the time, then how do you know that you need to be better? How do you know that you need
Mm.
to develop that skill or that you need to switch it up so that you can get what you want? The thing is that now it's maximized with social media and the internet. So we have teens that are looking online and they're seeing all these amazing lives, and then they're
Mm-hmm.
comparing those lives to them. And
Yeah.
so much more anxiety is coming up,
Yes.
much more stress, right? And the peer pressure to be able to fit in, to be able to succeed and to excel and to stand out is even bigger. And I think that
Hmm.
that's where a lot of the anxiety and a lot of the addiction is coming from. And so that's why I think it's important that we teach our youth. It doesn't matter where you live,
Hmm.
because humans, we're all the same.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
the same inside. This is just a suit, just like the clothes that we're wearing
Hmm.
covers our body. Our body just covers our spirit.
Yeah,
We all have organs and we all bleed inside. We all feel the same struggles and we all have the same needs. It doesn't matter where
yeah,
you are. And fear is the biggest thing that we all have to overcome. And I always say fear is the boogeyman that stands between you and everything that you want. And the
yeah,
funny thing is, tell young people, your fear is so big that it's going to stop you from doing things.
yeah.
But the funny thing is that when you develop that courage to just jump that, you'll
Hmm.
realize and you'll think, wow, I was so scared and it wasn't that bad.
Hmm.
It really wasn't that bad. So that's why I think it's so important to teach young adults these skills so
Yeah.
that they're able to face life, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so true. I wanted to go back to what you said about comparison because I mainly work with younger girls, like tween, preteen age girls. And so a big thing with them is comparison because I think girls and women in general, they're always being compared in terms of their looks, body, all that kind of thing. And like you said, comparison doesn't have to be a bad thing if it's driving you to want to achieve greater, to want to do better. The problem comes when you are don't feel worthy already, and then that makes you feel less than. That's when the problem comes in.
Yeah.
And then with social media, you're comparing yourself to something that's not real. It's a highlight reel of all the positivity in that person's day. They could have just had 10 minutes, filmed that, and then cried the rest of the day. You don't know any of that. So you're really comparing apples and oranges. So that's where comparison becomes a problem because by itself, it's like you said, it's not inherently bad if it's pushing you to grow and do better and saying that's the level I need to reach. But if you don't have that worthiness inside you anyway, it's just going to make you feel less than comparing yourself to somebody else.
It does come from self-worth and self-love. So you might come from a home where you're not getting that validation or that
Mm,
nurturing that you need. So now as a young adult, you're trying to seek it out there, and that's where all the
yeah.
problems start. But what I tell young adults is, you know, only one person can be you. Nobody else can be you but you.
Yeah.
You know? That's
Yeah.
that's the beauty. So it's how to feel and be the best that you can inside this costume that you have been
Hmm.
given, right? This life experience. And that is the hardest thing to find, but it's the most important thing to do
Yeah.
because we spend so much time trying to get the attention, the acceptance, and the validation from others. And then
Yeah.
when we don't get it, we feel worse about ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And we feel worthy. But if we manage to learn, right, to figure out, okay, yeah, I might have curly hair. I might
Hmm.
not have straight hair. I might not be 6 feet tall,
Hmm.
or I might be a little overweight right now, but this is me.
Hmm.
Nobody else can be me. How can I be the best me? We start the opposite. We start looking out there for the
Yeah.
solutions, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Looking out there. So we want love. So what do? We look for someone to love us. And then
Hmm.
when they don't love us, we feel we're not worthy of love,
Hmm.
right? So we want to feel beautiful. We're waiting for someone else to tell us we're beautiful or to make us feel beautiful. When if we think about it, we can do it all ourselves, you
Yeah.
know, if we learning how. And that's why like teaching youth and giving youth these skills and
Yeah.
actually just developing that self-awareness.
Absolutely. I wanted to speak about mindset because with the young girls that I work with, one of the things we really focused on is having a growth mindset because a lot of them have this thing where if something happens, they think that's how it's always going to be. If they can't do something, I can't do it. I'm not going to get any better. And it's having that mindset of, hey, you can get better with things with
Yeah.
practice, and even if you're not good at something now, it's not the end of the world. But the being a young person, there's something about feeling like the thing that's happening now is how it's always going to be, and really getting them to shift their mind into, hey, this issue is just in the present moment. Your future could look completely different. So what are the some of the other mindset shifts that you kind of work with the young people that you are in your program?
Yeah, well, it's like you said, it's being able to teach them how to use that critical thinking ability
Hmm.
and critical thinking skills so that they're able to get themselves not just out of a bad situation, but how they feel about it. Because a
Mm,
lot of times, what we're even trying to escape more than the terrible situation is the feelings afterwards,
yeah,
right? If
yeah,
something bad happened, if we failed at something, then we feel like a failure. And then those are the feelings that we have to deal with. And basically, developing that growth mindset to me is the most important because it's what
yeah,
I lack. We weren't given these skills, and it's the skills of saying, okay, you know what? This is terrible, but what can I do about it today? And a lot of times, I see this when it comes to youth and academics, they're so stressed out about their future. But,
yeah,
what we can do to help them is to
yeah,
help them focus on now,
yeah.
and so that's a part of my strategy too. Okay, so this is terrible. I know that you have this expectation, but
Hmm.
what can you do about it today? Let's break it down. Let's
Hmm.
let's break it down. Let's break down this big monster and let's
Hmm.
chop him up in pieces so that we can handle it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So doing stuff like that, just helping them through it, like focus on today and focus on what you can do.
yeah,
That brings a lot of anxiety and relief down because, like we were talking about a minute ago, it has to do with the control.
yeah.
We get overwhelmed. We think, oh my God, I can't handle this. I can't handle this situation. I
Hmm.
can't handle this relationship. I can't handle these requirements for college or for whatever.
Yeah.
But when we break it down and when we break down to, okay, let's just focus on today.
Hmm.
What can you do today to fix this and to feel better? And then tomorrow we will address the rest, and it's just
Yeah,
breaking it down. What can we control? Setting goals, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
this is really important because a lot of times we're just going through life and a lot of this anxiety stems from that. So you think, okay, oh, my parents want me to apply for college and they want me to attend this college. And you have all that stress and that stress and that stress,
Mm,
and it's eating you up. But
yeah.
when you attack, the monster, when you break it down, then
Hmm.
the stress starts dissipating a little bit. So what can I do now?
Hmm.
Let's set goals. So I'm going to set this goal. You
Yeah,
know, if tomorrow I don't make it, then we could address that then. But it's being able to give them tools so that they feel like they have control now. Because
yes, yeah.
when you think about depression, depression really is your mind is still living and experiencing the events from the past. And when
Yeah.
you think of anxiety, anxiety is because you're preoccupied and worried about events in the future.
Hmm.
But the past already happened. There's nothing you can
Hmm.
do about that, okay? Except go over it and see what you could do better the next time. But it's
Yeah.
done. You can't go back. And the future is the future. And we're always living in the now. So the
Mm.
future will be the now. Soon, if you're patient enough, the future will come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we worry about it, and 80% of the time, it doesn't happen.
And that's where a lot of the conflict with parents comes in, is that whole, fight for control over the young
Yes.
person's life as they grow up. I just wanted to touch quickly on what are some of the things that parents can do? What are some of the tips for parents? I think that having a teenager has such a sort of a stigma, not a stigma, but a bad rap, as in, oh, you wait till the teenage years, that's when it really starts to get. So it always feels
Yeah.
like something to dread. But teenagers are great, as I'm sure you'll agree, they're great. But I think that parents need a bit of guidance, I suppose, to how to tackle their teen, I suppose. So what were some of the tips you'd say
Yeah.
to parents who have a teen?
So, to parents that have a teen, the first thing that I would say is, think of where you were young.
Mm,
What we strive for as young adults is independence. So, of
yes.
course, it's natural for your teen to want to rebel and to want to fight you and to want to gain that independence on their own,
Hmm.
right? So, that's the first thing that I would say. And so be able to work with them so that you can slowly go giving them a little bit of that independence, but with love and with boundaries. I feel like
Yes.
that's really important. parents because I feel like that's the balance we have to find. So a lot of parents are afraid of setting really strong boundaries because their teens react or their teens get mad at them and then they start that power struggle
Hmm.
or you know and I feel that it's really important to set those boundaries but do it in a nurturing and loving way. And how that looks is, you know okay, so I know that you want to stay on your phone till 12 o'clock at night, but you know that sleep is important. So let me show you this study that showed on sleep and the importance of sleep and how it affects you and it affects your cognitive abilities when you don't get this amount of time to sleep, especially when it comes to young adults. So you add them as a part of the conversation. So now it's not like I'm telling you, turn off your phone at 9 o'clock, it's done.
Mm.
No, it's like, okay, so this is what we're doing. Okay,
Yes.
this is what we're going to do. And the reason why we're enforcing this boundary is for your own good and it's for this. And I'm going to include you in it, right? And we're going to talk
Yeah.
about it. And
Yeah.
then if you ask them questions and you include them in it, that's it, they're yours. Because if you ask them, how do you think, okay, sleeping 8 hours as opposed to sleeping 4 hours is going to help you the next day?
Mm.
And when you include them in that conversation, that's it, you won the battle.
Yeah.
Because now it's a we. It's not a you against me, it's a we.
But thank you so much. I can really hear your passion for working with young people. And I just think, that's what we need. We need young people to know that there's people on their side, there's people who want to help them flourish and reach their full potential. So thank you so much for all the
Yeah.
work that you do. And I'm so happy that you came on this podcast and to talk to me.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.